And now you look at it, and quote, feminism is supposed to empower women. It's turned them into just bestial creatures. Same thing with men. They give us false tribes of UT football instead of the normal tribalism of your family and your private property and controlling your own mind. And they just, I mean, you try to talk to full-grown adults, they're mental midgets. A serious man can't be obsessed with sports because there's too much going on in the world, too much knowledge, too many mysteries, too many secrets, too many competitors, too much. They don't want us being dominant and strong and aggressive and powerful and wild. They want us being a bunch of soft punks, and we are. We're a bunch of soft punks.
That's right, and that's what you do. It's the end product of a long-term war to destroy everything that made things function and made you independent, and now you won't stand up and fight for anything. That's exactly the goal they had in mind.
Well said. Alan Watt is our guest, cuttingthematrix.com. Our sites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. Let's talk to Doug in Utah, who I'm told disagrees, so he'll go to the head of the line. Go ahead, Doug.
Hi, yeah, Alex and Alan, I disagreed with Alex's opinion yesterday. He talked about Stephen Hawking's opinion that we must go off-world immediately, or it's almost certain that in the next 100 years we're going to destroy ourselves.
Well, that doesn't mean leave the planet. I'm saying we need to expand and not have the technologies hidden from us. And I agree with him. There's a good chance with all these super weapons and genetic engineering that we're going to have serious catastrophes, and the globalists are arrogant and think they can control it. But finish your point, and we'll get Alan's take on it.
Yeah, you said it's a virtual certainty that this planet will never become a Type 1 civilization with the assault on mankind from the elite. And what my problem was is that vision is totally contrary to the vision that the holy prophets of God described for us in the Scriptures. And I wondered if Alan had a take on that, because those are really the primary writings of civilization, and they talk about these things. It's amazing how much they talk about it.
Let me stop you for a minute. Alan's going to say it's just like H.G. Wells 100 years ago, predictive programming, self-fulfilling prophecy, a missionaret protectorate that Frank Herbert talked about in his series on Dune, giving you an off-world model of that. I am a Christian, and I've read the Bible. But in the last 150 years, you've had this move to say, never stand up to evil. It's the end of the world. You're not, you can't change things. And that's just not true. And they've got this Christianoid model now where we can't even have destiny, or we can't. I mean, the people told the founding fathers don't fight back. It's the end of the world. People told the Germans lay down to Hitler. It's the end of the world. And I find it to be a cop-out. Let me get a comment from Alan Watt on that.
Yes, I mean, religion's always been used by the powerful organizations that end up taking them over. And you'll find that I personally see the Old Testament, for instance, in a totally different way than most people. I see it more like a guidebook of practical means of conquering the world, actually. That's how I see it. I see the New Testament with a different deity in charge altogether from the old bloodthirsty Yahweh. And Christianity in its basic initial form, before it was taken over by, remember, an empire took it over, a political military empire took it over and used it. Initial Christianity was very simplistic in its doctrine. And so they used it again once it was taken over. They used it again to dominate people for 1,500 years, really. And then the Protestant sect, it was time to bring in the Protestants. And that's how I see it. It was time to bring in the Protestants by those who ruled the money.
Yeah, let me say this to Doug. Let me say this to Doug. Look, you injected religion into this, and I happen to know Alan's views, and that's one of the few areas that we differ on, but I do see his perspective, and that's why all things are open for discussion here. But overall, at my parents' church, my dad said, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go there anymore. We got new preachers there, and they're teaching us that we've got to have the illegal aliens basically come in. That's the World Council of Churches and the Rockefellers, or Catholic and Protestant churches saying, turn your guns in, and FEMA secretly recruiting 50,000+ preachers for clergy response teams. I mean, we've got to recognize that they're telling us just give up, lay down. It's what Jesus says, and that's not what Jesus even said, Alan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jesus didn't tell you to leave your head at the door, of the church. You were supposed to use your head
Well, he went after the money changers. He went after the money power.
That was the last thing, basically, he did. Once they did that, everything changed. And that wasn't just money changers. That was an international bank of the day.
Stay there. Let's talk about that when we come back and go to more calls. Interesting point, Doug.
Global meltdowns, massive unemployment, endless wars, a new currency crisis, financially and morally bankrupt. A great and terrible storm is approaching. So what's the best way to get ready, to get prepared for hard times ahead? Introducing Off the Grid News, a weekly newsletter for independent patriots who want practical advice on how to survive and prosper in an increasingly dangerous world. It's the best way to get a black belt in emergency preparedness, survival skills, and off-the-grid living. Off the Grid News is fiercely independent, all about self-reliance and packed with helpful information on survival gardening, food preparation, alternative energy, herbal medicines, privacy and security, as well as God, gold, and guns, with absolutely no apologies. And the best part, this $100 a year service is now free of charge for our listeners. That's right, free for our listeners who sign up at offthegridnews.com. That's offthegridnews.com. You can sign up free at offthegridnews.com. offthegridnews.com.
The Fall of America and the Western World is an all-new 10-hour documentary and survival guide rolled into one. In this film, you will see the reasons why our government is failing and what you can do to prepare. Featuring Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, Joseph Farah, David Icke, Naomi Wolf, G. Edward Griffin, Doug McIntyre, Mark Crispin Miller, Mickey Z, Doug Casey, David McElvaney, and myself, Alex Jones. Protect yourself and get the tools you need to protect your family from these difficult times. The Fall of America and the Western World at www.thefallofamerica.net or click on the banners at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Again, that website's www.thefallofamerica.net or call 800-655-1577. Prepare yourself and the ones you love today. Fallofamerica.net.
As many people know, ever since President Nixon took us off the gold standard, the U.S. dollar has been devaluating. What people don't know, however, is how this directly affects your personal finances. Is there a way to prevent your portfolios from losing value? The answer to all of this is gold and silver. They've both maintained their purchasing power for 6,000 years. If you had had $100,000 in cash and $100,000 in gold and silver back in 1913 and kept them both until now, your cash would actually have the buying power of only $4,800, but your gold and silver would have the buying power of $3 million. The answer to protecting your assets is simple. Call me, John Ballman, today at 1-800-686-2237, extension 169. Get all your questions answered before your money is worth zero. Call 1-800-686-2237, extension 169. Take action today while we still accept paper dollars for gold. That's 1-800-686-2237, extension 169.
You've seen our SinoFresh banner on the GCN website, yet your sinusitis is still a problem. Are you waiting for your sinusitis to go away by itself? Are you waiting for a SinoFresh discount? Okay, here it comes. But first, the facts. 67 other products merely treat symptoms and not the cause of sinus problems. And 37 million Americans suffer from sinus distress just like you. But now many are finding relief with the only patent-protected homeopathic nasal product that antiseptically eliminates the known causes of sinusitis. SinoFresh. Now, here's your limited time discount offer to use SinoFresh. Call 888-906-3636 right now for $2 off per bottle when you mention GCN. That's it. Just call 888-906-3636 and mention GCN for a $2 discount. But hurry, this offer is only for the first 1,000 customers. Call 888-906-3636. 888-906-3636. Call right now for $2 off per bottle. Mention GCN. Buy SinoFresh.com. It works.
Up at the website GCNlive.com, headlines, wave goodbye to Brand Obama, Paul Joseph Watson, key article about how his fortunes are imploding, how the globalists are already vetting new puppets. Also, Alex Jones, 11-minute clip on Russia Today. Big Brother is watching you, dealing with the internet takeover and cameras and cars and planes to watch and record you, both audio and video. Former Senator Ted Stevens confirmed dead in that plane crash yesterday. Gold prepares to make yet another all-time high, rising in the last few days again. It's all up at GCNlive.com. This is a short segment and I want to hurry and get to the calls, but I don't want the break to cut you off. You were saying he was challenging the international banking system at that time, and he was. Alan, finish your point on that.
Yeah, you would understand that Judaism, even in that time, had enclaves across the ancient world and all the capital cities of Greece and so on, Athens and all over the place. Rhodes is another famous place for them. But they had to come back so many times per year to the great temple, and they brought incredible fortunes with them. And you couldn't get into the temple, and no Hebrew or Jew, I should say, could get into the temple without the actual money off the land. So you had to exchange your money to go into the temple with your offerings. And basically the guys there were doing foreign exchange. And they made incredible amounts of money on this from these people who came in every day from all over the ancient world.
Yeah, the main manipulation was they made you buy a special coin to buy your sacrifice, whether it was a cow or a sheep or birds, and they would be huge piles of gold and silver for one little special silver coin.
Yeah, foreign cash was unclean inside the temple, but it was awfully good outside for the guys who exchanged it. And they set the exchange rates, and it literally was a going concern. And they came from all over the ancient world to exchange their monies there, yeah.
Amazing. Hope that answers Doug's question. Let's talk to Jeff in Texas. Jeff, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex, man, this is really great. This is my second time listening to you. Yesterday and now today, and I feel pretty at home. I've been actually paying attention on another level through the internet and just noticing things and the experience in my life. I'm a reformed old hippie from the 60s, so I know what all the culture's about, and I've been around to see just what everybody's into. But I think where I'm going now, I've kind of developed to this point where what you were talking about earlier, the electronic money. It looks to me, I put it this way, Obama, I was a Bush hater. When he came, I had tears, and I was just like overwhelmed and just, my life was just so wonderful that here we got an African-American man as president. We've come so far, because I went to my buddy's black weddings. I was into the black culture and people way back when in the 60s, and I loved the whole thing. And then I started realizing the details, and I was kind of in denial. I think so many people are.
Well, Obama's 6% African, and it's just a corporate production to sucker people that things had really changed when it's just more of the same. But getting back to digital money, that's why they're cracking down on swap meets, on garage sales, on selling or bartering with your neighbor. They want everything tracked and controlled so they can turn the economy off. But dealing with that, and also Obama and the fraud that was Obama. Alan Watt, give us your breakdown.
Well, you'll never change a system when the people come in to vote to come in and lead the same system of central banking, international banking, debt, which is incredible to start with, since every central bank can print its own money if it wishes to, but they all prefer to borrow from the private banks. That's the con. Everybody, I don't care if you got Mickey Mouse coming in to run for election, if he's going to stand up for the same system, including all the previously owned debt, rather than saying, I'm writing it all off, it's all bogus anyway. We'll print our own money from now on, debt-free. Well, why are you voting for anybody in the first place, whether it was Donald Duck or anybody else? It's the same system. It's not your system. It's the con system. So you don't have a chance anyway voting for anybody.
And that's why they're trying to block us taking the states back, because we've got a shot at that, not really at the federal government.
Yes, see, we're already international, and that was the key to setting up international banks and central banks as well, to go with the World Bank and using this debt con to push it all. Since World War II, the U.S. And Britain and Canada have been funding through their OECD departments. They're all set up during World War II across the third world. We're funding China right now for their medical care. So is the U.S. Canada is building a CANDU nuclear reactor, 2 or 3 of them in China, courtesy of the Canadian taxpayer.
They're the new model, and the $50 billion for the auto bailouts, most of it went to move our factories to Brazil, Eastern Europe, and China.
Yeah. And this is all done by the same system that wants you to vote for the next guy who will promise to uphold the same system.
All right, Jeff, appreciate your call. Good to have you on board. Please pay it forward. Spread the word about the broadcast. Long segment coming up. Chris, Stan, Rob, Guy.